Everybody, and if you're tuning into this, maybe you've already seen the video I've already done today on the tragedy in Texas. And if you did watch that, you'll notice that I asked some pretty serious questions. Come on, Carm, no sniffing. Here's the deal. It was extremely difficult for me to find a lot of the things that I was trying to bring up in regards to historic cases of these events. Okay, it's not easy anymore. If you saw what I did with San Bernardino, you know, it was not easy for me to find the Sally Abdul Gam, I'm probably butchering her last name, report from inside the office that she saw 3 separate people dressed in military style garb. It was not easy to find that. And I was unable to find the video of the gentleman who had a place, a store in that same building. That's a problem for me. You know, I went through a couple days ago the entire FBI document that some people are trying to say is fake, that labels quote unquote conspiracy theorists as the new domestic terrorism threat. And from what I'm seeing, this latest El Paso guy, what are they trying to say? He's a QAnon guy. And I'm sure they're going to bring up other conspiracies as well. And as I read through that, you know, QAnon was one of the quote-unquote conspiracies that they talked to as a possible domestic threat. And everybody out here that's been watching my stuff knows how I feel about QAnon. But I never thought or said or endorsed that we should be labeling people that believe that as domestic terrorists. That's insanity, okay? It's complete insanity. So then that document also talked about critics of Zionism, critics of the quote-unquote New World Order. And hey, I got a movie out there called Invisible Empire and New World Order to find. That's a problem. And like I said, I've seen some of the most idiotic posts from other people saying that it's a fake document. No, it's not a fake document. It's not supposed to be on the FBI.gov site. Don't you understand? And in fact, it probably is on there somewhere, but you have to log in because even though it wasn't a classified, it was sensitive information and it was dealt out to law enforcement. And that was from the Phoenix Bureau of the FBI. It's a real document, okay? Do you really think that Yahoo would report on that, number one, with it being a fake document, putting their record on the line? What's up, baby? You need to pee over here or you're just sniffing? I know a lot of you are critical that I don't stop for my dog when it's sniffing, but really it's just sniffing other dogs. The other thing that makes me 100% sure that and I guess, you know what, let's not go 100% because anything's possible. Let's say 99.999999% sure that it's real, is that it's completely sourced. I mean, it's a 15-page document and several of those pages are just the sources. And what sources are they using? Well, they're using the authoritative sources that we've talked about before. Wikipedia, Snopes, George Washington University. Remember, the university stuff, that's very important to them. Academics are telling us that conspiracy theorists are the next domestic terror threat, and then days later, they are associating this person who they're blaming for 20 plus lives. Actually, I think it is, 20 dead and many others injured. I mean, it's gross. I hate making those videos. Every time there's a fucking mass shooting, I hate making these videos. They're the worst. You know, it's why I didn't go live either time last night or yesterday when it happened, because number one, I wanted to see what else was out there. And if you watched my video, you saw the Hispanic woman, she doesn't even speak English, talking about 3 or 4 men who came in dressed in black and did this, okay? Super Chat should be working, Port Film Co-op. I don't know why they wouldn't be. Try to refresh your browser, you know, right? And guys, there's 100 people watching, only 22 thumbs up. Thumbs this video up because we're about to talk about some other anomalies in some other events, you know, Parkland being one of them. Nicholas Cruz was on the radar, man. You have no idea. First of all, what they never tell you about Nicholas Cruz, nobody wants to talk about, is he was ROTC. He was trained by the military at that high school, okay? Let's repeat that. Nicholas Cruz was trained by the military at that high school. That's what ROTC is. Get you ready for the military after high school. And no one wanted to touch that angle at all. At all. In fact, if you listen to the audio of law enforcement, one of them says it's someone in an ROTC uniform. Now, whether or not, Cruz was in his ROTC uniform, we have seen some of the video out of that. My biggest concern in that shooting, other than all the red flags on that kid, the fact that he was on psychotropic drugs, the fact that he was on lists, the fact that he had made threats everywhere and been reported to law enforcement and the FBI, all documented in the mini documentary I did called Parkland Code Red, which is almost impossible to find because it was on DTube as an exclusive, and then DTube erased the entire We Are Change catalog. They had like a thing where they pretty much just erased everybody's videos. So I went through that thoroughly, but the most disturbing part was that in the original reports, they said nobody died on the 3rd floor. And that was just utter horseshit. There were bodies on the 3rd floor, okay? And one of the teachers that saw another person killed on the 3rd floor, witnessed a person killed on the 3rd floor. A teacher who was getting students into his classroom clearly said that she saw somebody in full body armor with a mask on. And then, and it's in my film, and then another teacher corroborates that story. And for some reason, the official version, at least in the beginning, was nobody died on that 3rd floor where they saw this masked gunman. Okay, and remember, there were more than a few witnesses that said, hey, there were multiple shooters there as well. Okay, but we're not allowed to talk about that stuff because once we get into multiple shooters, then we have big questions. Okay? Now, with this Dayton, Ohio thing, apparently this person was in full body armor and cleared out quite a few. Come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? Sorry, guys. See, my dog is just trying to get to the grass line, not because she needs to go to the bathroom, but, well, maybe she does. Oh, she's peeing. She's marking. You don't need to go again, do you? Nope. Nope, you sure don't. You just want to eat some more grass. Okay. Now, apparently the cops got to that shooting within a minute and killed this guy, even in his body armor. But that was a very small enclosed area. It was a Saturday night at a bar. So, very possible somebody could roll up with an automatic weapon and, just light it up and kill 9 or 10 people. No problem. That's a reality. And believe me, there are mentally ill people out there that would do this. In the Democratic debates, on the first night, there was one guy who had just gotten into the debates. I can't remember who it was, but he was the only one to talk about this being a mental health issue. At the very least, it's a fucking mental health issue. If they're telling the truth about these people, no one else but a fucking crazy person would do this. Unless it's a black op, and it's just part of the gig. And again, those are possibilities. Please watch my video on Sandy Hook and Jones's deposition, okay? Yeah, I think it's deep research and analysis. You can go to my channel. It's from about 3 or 4 months ago. But it lays out a lot of the real questions about Sandy Hook and how they were co-opted by a lot of nonsense and a lot of disinformation. So if you started to question the event in any way, shape, or form, you were lumped in with these other people. And unfortunately, Alex Jones, you took the bait. You took the fucking bait, dude. Man up, admit it. You never did deep research. You never really looked into the event. You went by hearsay of others, and you got caught up in the moment, and you said a lot of things that were untrue. And that's why you lost in court. I brought this case up, and again, it's like a 37-minute video. I actually did research. I actually got the police audio right after the event. I actually went through the videos that were released and the pictures that were released about a year afterwards, okay, when they did their initial investigation. I did that. And you know what? It wasn't deep research. It was just research. I barely scratched the surface of that thing. I was in contact with the InfoWars office at the time. I gave them all my information before he went full lunatic and started talking about Wolfgang Halbig and how the school was closed. Guys, when they go into that school, there are fresh bags of bagels and other food right there. Not closed. Was not closed down. Clearly. Jones got eaten up in that deposition. Okay? And he lost. He lost the court case. And let me tell you, he made it more dangerous for you and I to talk about truth. Okay? That's a big problem. Okay? What do I mean that he made it more difficult for us to talk about truth? Well, he spouted 100% bullshit on a high level, had other people believing that bullshit, then must have perjured himself close to a dozen times, if not more, during that 3+ hour deposition. It was grotesque. And he lost. He fucking lost. I knew he was going to lose. Now he's appealing that to the state Supreme Court, I believe. Why do we want Alex Jones, who lied his ass off and, tried to pawn it off on other people and never did deep research, ever, now going to the state Supreme Court on this case, which basically means that you can lie and defame people and nothing can be done? Because that's what he did. He did. And I encourage you to go watch it. I think people should be able to speak their mind, should be able to ask questions, but when you speak in certainties, when you say for sure, and you start naming names, you got a problem. And that's what happened with him. So now we're in a situation where speech could be further restricted if he loses this state Supreme Court case. And by the way, guys, there's a reason he's moving towards news wars and the other thing. He's going to lose InfoWars. Okay? That Sandy Hook lawsuit, just the beginning. He's going to lose InfoWars. It's just a fact. I don't know how long that'll take, but that's my guess. Maybe I'm wrong, but I doubt it. I think that that's going to be part of the lawsuit. They're going through the finances of that. The judge obviously is not that sympathetic to Jones. And in the long run, that whole thing hurts us all. Gives them an excuse. And remember, in that FBI document, what do they talk about? Sandy Hook. So guys, I'm going to give it to you straight each and every time how I feel. It's not about left and right. It's about right and wrong. I'm going to call out the alternative media when it's necessary. We're not playing team fucking baseball here. This is the real world. This is real life. This is real important. So, like I said, we're going to continue to look at all angles of these shootings. Guys, 195 watching and 67 thumbs up. Take time to thumb this up, huh? This is just a walk and talk, but please go check out my video from earlier today about El Paso when I show you some real anomalies over at San Bernardino and other shootings, okay? Shootings that you need to understand because, listen, in my eyes, there are a lot of unanswered questions to these events. But when you speak in certainties, when you spout disinfo, you do yourself absolutely 100% no favors. Zero favors. You dig yourself a hole, and then there are some people that can never admit when they're wrong. It's all right, you're a human being. If you make a mistake, please, as long as you were genuine about it, tell the people. It's not a big deal. I think that you guys respect me when I say, hey, I got this wrong. Somebody sent me something. I misread causal as casual the other day when I was reading through that FBI document. That is real, by the way. It's not fake. I promise you. All right, 99.9999% sure. That's a real document. So I misread it. Someone corrected me in the comments. I pinned that comment and said, thank you. Thank you for pointing out my mistake. We're human beings. It's okay to be wrong. So, with that being said, guys, we got a lot of videos today. I've got an update on the Linda Collins Smith murder mystery. The state senator, former state senator, who was in a divorce with her judge husband, who was kind of high profile, who now has been confirmed that she was indeed talking to women who said that their children were indeed the victims of child trafficking. And I'm just going to say someone closer to the case than I'm ever going to be. I don't want to say how they're related to the case, etc., etc. But they reached out to me and they gave me one of the affidavits, or a link to one of the affidavits that's out there. And I'm going to be reading that affidavit on air, doing a quick update on that. We're also going to be doing a video today on, I hope I'm saying it right, Benadol. And what is that? It's a dewormer for dogs. And a guy named, I believe it's Joe Tippin, not John Tippin. Joe Tippin, back in April, a story came out that basically he was on death's door with cancer throughout his body. He had tried everything else. And a veterinarian contacted him and said, hey, why don't you give this a try? And it was Panicur C, I believe that's how you say it, which is, you know, again, a dewormer, and some vitamin supplements, so vitamin E and curcum. And within 3 months, his cancer was completely gone, head to toe. Now, I think it's mycancerstory.rocks or cancerstory.rocks. I think it's mycancerstory.rocks is his personal site. But the really interesting thing about this is not only his story and the story of the medical professionals that back what he says, but the actual documentation in medical papers and university papers, including Johns Hopkins University. So it was something I briefly covered for WRC when the story came out, but something I've really become increasingly interested in, because if this is the case, this is just another example about how the suppression of information, because some of these studies are from 2008, are costing not hundreds of lives, not thousands of lives, not tens of thousands of lives, hundreds of thousands and millions of lives. Okay? And they're not only just taking their lives, but if it's true, they're also fucking bankrupting the purpose for the medical industrial complex. And that makes me sick that we would take advantage of people, you know, when they are the most vulnerable, and take advantage of their families when they are the most vulnerable. It's another reason that today, in this information age, that we need a new web. We need a new internet, 100%, that cannot be censored, that is decentralized, that doesn't work off of an internet service provider like Time Warner or Comcast or AT&T Uverse or Fios or any of these other fucking big corporations. So if you're out there and you know how to construct one and you're willing to put in the work, we need you more than ever. So like I said, guys, I'm going to be back with many more videos from the office after this. I hope you enjoyed this walk and talk, and I will see you on the flip side.